and welcome to Tom Myers versus the rest of the world. Well, since the last episode, 2 governor's races have been held. In Virginia, the GOP candidate Glenn Youngkin won. If the gubernatorial elections have taught us anything, it's that Virginia voters don't mind their elected leaders banning books, so long as they dress like a suburban dad and throw out the tiki torches and red MAGA caps before they advocate such a position. It's nice to know that Glenn Youngkin will hold a book burning, but use the fire to make s'mores for all the neighborhood kids. Donald Trump endorsed Glenn Youngkin for governor of Virginia, and in the process, he had trouble pronouncing his name. To be fair to Trump, he does have trouble pronouncing a name that has more than one syllable. Also, he is hesitant of supporting someone if he's not sure the name originated from a country whose refugees he tried to ban or imprison. Phil Murphy was barely reelected as governor of New Jersey. His opponent, Jack Ciattarelli, as a state legislator, once tried to pass a measure banning swearing in New Jersey. That's like inviting a pedophile to an adults-only party. That could explain why Ciattarelli lost. It's because New Jersey voters don't trust someone who looks and sounds Italian but doesn't curse. Boston elected not only its first female mayor, but also its first non-white mayor. I think that's great, because you know what that means? That means, thanks to Trump inundating his supporters with claims that all elections are rigged, all of Boston's racists stayed home. It looks as though the new infrastructure bill won't have a tax on billionaires that Elizabeth Warren wanted. If you think about it, billionaires have always had it pretty easy. In fact, the only time a billionaire has ever had a bad day is when Jeffrey Epstein was arrested.
Oh.
The Supreme Court heard the 2 abortion restriction cases from Texas. The justice I'm watching is Brett Kavanaugh. Not for how he'll rule on these cases, but because he has to now think about vulnerable women without getting an erection.
Nice.
Aaron Rodgers has been benched for lying about getting the COVID vaccine. I feel sorry for the NFL doctors. How are they supposed to know if they're looking at the effects of COVID brain or an old-fashioned concussion? Kenosha shooter Kyle Rittenhouse broke down while testifying on the stand. To be fair, it must be shocking for any white person to be on trial for, at the very least, brandishing an AR-15 in public. Christmas sales have started, and sale ads already started airing on TV and radio. I think that's careless of them. As slow as the post office has been lately, they should have started that shit in July. GOP Congressman Adam Kinzinger announced that he won't be seeking re-election. The last time the political career of a moderate Republican was ended like this, it was at the hand of John Wilkes Booth. And now on with the show. Please join me in welcoming Jeff Hysen, Abby Mello, and Davine Ker.
Hello, friends.
Hey, Tom.
Hello.
Everyone, how are we doing?
Daylight savings time is kicking my ass. I don't know. I'm not appreciating it getting dark at 5 o'clock right now. Not a fan.
What's frustrating is being on the same side of an issue as Marco Rubio, because he's one of the sponsors of a bill to make daylight savings time permanent. And it's about the only time I would agree with him.
I keep on time traveling into my kitchen because my microwave is not updated. So I'm like, whoa, how did I lose an hour?
So you're not updating it yourself, or you're waiting for it to update itself? Or in March, you'll be fine?
I'm a modern woman, but that's a husband duty.
From going to talking about the most recent gubernatorial elections, we'll do what Donald Trump and his followers want us to do. Think about 2020. Joining us tonight to discuss these and various topics, please join me in welcoming our guest, Ken Water.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Ken. It's an absolute pleasure having you on. Reason why I wanted to have you on for this particular episode is because I know you and I have talked. We've known each other for a long time. In the past few years, you've undergone somewhat of a political conversion. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, I was a lifelong Republican. I have voted for every Republican president since Reagan, every single one, except for Trump. And, you know, it was interesting because Hillary Clinton was the last person I would ever consider voting for in my life. Couldn't stand her. couldn't tolerate the thought of her being in public life, never mind being president. But because the opponent was him, she slided down to the second worst person I could ever vote for. And so I stood in the polls, and it took me like 20 minutes just to stare at the ballot. And then I finally pulled the lever and went home and cried in the shower. I said, I figured my choices are basically, do I tread water in the cesspool for 4 years, or do I play Russian roulette with half the chambers loaded? And I figured it was too big a risk. So 4 years later, I said, you know what, I was right.
You feel okay about that decision?
Oh, yeah, it was the right decision. And I stayed Republican because I said, this is temporary. He's here, he's gonna be gone, and we'll get back to things. Because mostly for economic policies, military policies, I'm much more right wing than left wing. But for social policies, I'm much more left wing than right wing. But but it became evident that it was not going to get better quickly, or even in the short run. And when they got rid of Liz Cheney for basically telling the truth, I said, I'm out.
I think the big thing that was brought up is that once Trump was elected, like the consensus was that, he'll be president, but at least he'll be pliable. He'll be easy to mold. Like it'll be easy to go ahead and go along with certain policy decisions. But it ended up backfiring on the rest of the country and going to the Breitbart universe and the Newsmax folks.
Well, I thought he would do what Reagan did or what George Bush did, and basically surround himself with competent people and just say, and just let them really do the detail work and be the figurehead. That's not what happened. So, it really did backfire. But I think a lot of people were, they liked the show, they liked the stated policies, but and they figured competent people would handle the details. But the competent people just kind of kept dropping out of the picture.
I think there were certain people he employed at the beginning. He hired for the cabinet, for his staff, who may have had their been focused on policy, and they try to ignore the rants and his insanity, and they couldn't do it. And if they pushed back on him, saying this is not the way it's done, he fired them.
Yeah.
So anybody you might have thought had a place in that role, a role that 5 years ago was gone pretty quickly.
Yeah, he was the schoolyard bully. I mean, basically, I couldn't understand. I was like, here's somebody you wouldn't ever invite in your home. Why would you elect this person as president of the United States?
Well, I think also because he appealed to people's most base wants and wishes, sort of the uglier aspects of their own personalities.
Well, if you're religious, you say, how does Satan tempt you? By offering you material things in exchange for your soul. And it kind of sounds like some of that stuff. I mean, people are like, well, I don't like him, but I like his tax policies. I like the financial stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, but how much are you willing to put up with? How much are you willing to, what are you willing to let people do to other people in order to get those things?
You're thinking about it fairly and logically, Ken. There are some people who would say, well, I don't agree with his position on, say, abortion and right to choose, but he's going to make me a lot of money. Right. And I can always get my mistress an abortion. I can always get my wife an abortion. My daughter, I can always get her to New York or California. But in the meantime, I'm going to make a lot of money. And then, but some, I hate the thought. It's inconceivable of me to think that way. To say, well, to take my selfish interests financially and put that above other people's social needs. But there are at least 40% of the country that's doing that.
Yeah,
but how does that explain then all of the people who essentially voted against their own economic interests because they really aren't, a lot of his base is by no means getting rich from anything.
Well, then there's that's a second part of those voters, because it's not helping them economically, but it's making it worse for people of color. So I think Lyndon Johnson figured that out in the 60s. If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on and he'll empty his pockets for you. So that's how that way, those people think that way too.
I think what you're saying is like, if you're where he couldn't increase the lot of life for the white people, at least he can make things worse for the people they're comparing themselves to.
Yeah, he's going to take money away from me, but look at the harm he's doing to those people who are trying to immigrate into the country.
Yeah. And he also appealed to people's worst instincts. I mean, to try and rally people together. I mean, you look at all the racial division that has just grown in this country in the past few years, and it's because he could incite people. He's good at inciting people. He's very good at rallying people. I mean, and there are people who, he promises we're gonna win, we're gonna do best, we're gonna do this, and there are a lot of people who don't look at the facts; they just read the bumper sticker.
Here's the quote:
"When making a political statement, such as doing a recount that's taking place under already questionable circumstances, it helps to make sure the optics are just right and not next to an amusingly named theme park, as CNN's Kyung La points out in this clip."
And this bizarre ride is far from over. In just a couple of hours, the ballot counting is going to pause because there are high school graduations next week. So they got to give up the space in the Coliseum. And so those 2.1 million ballots, they're going to travel outside that Coliseum past what I'm standing in front of, which is the Crazy Times Carnival. It runs through Saturday. The move is going to happen tomorrow morning. And they're going to head to that green building. The Cyber Ninjas, Arizona Republicans, the Senate Republicans say that building is temperature controlled, 24 hours monitored with security. But here's a couple of issues, Anderson. The wall closest to the carnival has, as it's being used by carnival goers, it's public toilets, and the state fairgrounds does not recommend use of that building right now because of summer heat. And we're talking about paper ballots. Anderson?
How long is the Crazy Time Carnival open, by the way? Do you know?
Another 48 hours. So I believe tickets are on sale if you'd like.
Well, I'll try to rush down. Crazy Times. Kyung La, appreciate it. Thanks very much.
I like the idea that a Trump-backed recount, like 6 months after Biden has already been sworn in, is next to someone puking because they ate 4 corn dogs before getting on the tilt-a-whirl. I mean, that's perfect symbolism for these recounts that are going on.
Having it done in a carnival is perfectly appropriate too.
Crazy times, am I right?
You said it. No, we also had McAuliffe conceding the day after, and the opponent for the New Jersey governor race lost by a bigger margin, and it took him until today, Wednesday, for him to accept the results.
Sounds
not concede,
familiar.
not concede, but accept the results.
That was the way he put it.
Oh, of course. The stop the steal mentality is so ingrained in the minds of most of the Republican Party. It's a wonder how they are able to focus on future elections, as Congressman Mo Brooks discovered the hard way.
Now, our choices are very simple. There are some people who are despondent about the voter fraud and election theft in 2020. Folks, put that behind you. Put that behind you. Yes. Look forward. Look forward. Look forward. Beat them in 2022. Beat them in 2024. All right. Well, look back at it, but go forward and take advantage of it.
Probably the most Alabama thing to do is not accept anything that's happened since 1865.
He kind of does look like Mo.
Mo Brooks is
the Three Stooges
voice of the.
Got the same haircut. It's just gray instead of black. It's like older Mo.
I like the way you set it up there, Ken. It was set up like the Three Stooges go to Washington. You know, Mo gets elected to Congress and hilarity ensues.
That idiot Mo Brooks is the voice of logic there, and he was speaking to people who don't understand logic. I personally would be in favor of them not accepting the results and in protest not voting again next time.
But isn't that August 21st date? Wasn't that the date of reinstatement?
One of them, I think.
Yeah, until the next one.
I just like that they're chanting for going backwards. Like all he was saying was like, let's move forwards. And they're like, no, never, backwards only.
He wants them to use their energy to help the next time. And they're saying, no, we don't want to do that.
Backwards only.
There's other elections coming up, you know? To understand MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell's theory behind the alleged cyber hacking of voting machines in the 2020 election, it's important to get to know the man himself. And Jimmy Kimmel helps us do so in this clip.
I did bring you a book, though.
You brought me a book. I read your book, by the way.
You read it?
I did read your book.
Do you know that cover on there? That's where it was up 14 days with the drug dealers.
I read it on my iPad.
And they did an intervention on me.
Yeah.
And I came upstairs, downtown Minneapolis, came upstairs, and I said, the one guy says, you know, you've been telling us for years this pillow thing is just a platform for God, and we want you to quit and come back and help us someday.
You haven't been home for a couple of months, back home in Minnesota. Is this true? Tell me if I have this wrong.
No, that's right. I've been working hard on this, the election and the machines and
the machines. And we've heard a lot about the machines, but you were worried that someone is trying to kill you.
Well, I've had threats, many, many, many threats.
You have?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you started out as a bar owner in Minnesota, right?
Well, I started out, I was always kind of an entrepreneur. My sister flooded a third-story building of an apartment complex, so I became a carpet cleaner.
You did a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You then got addicted to cocaine and then crack. Mm-hmm. You have a gambling problem. You supported yourself counting cards.
Right.
You smoked more crack. You would go to these casinos. You'd count cards. They'd throw you out. You were arrested multiple times. You had to sell your beloved bar. You started making pillows. You quit smoking crack. You made millions of dollars. And then you fell in love with Donald Trump, and now here we are. Is that correct? Did I miss anything?
Well, you missed one thing.
What did I miss?
On January 16, 2009, by the grace of God, he did free me of all the addictions.
Yes.
And I woke up, I'm looking around, I wasn't into politics. I didn't know anything about what a conservative was, a liberal. I didn't know a filibuster from a millibuster. I didn't know anything.
Some would say you still don't, Mike, to be honest.
I do say wash and not wash. You know?
Yeah, okay.
And so I said if I ever ran, I'd put the R back in Washington, you know.
Uh-huh.
I'm not so much mad at Mike Lindell. You know, I'm mad at the guy who decided to lace his cocaine with PCP.
He said he was working on the machine. I thought, is he talking about Florence in the Machine? How's that for a current reference?
Carpet cleaning machine.
Okay.
And has a credible history. I mean, history predicts future. So,
is he still in Dead to Beyond?
No, I think he's like every place that any person would ever want to go into to buy stuff. I think MyPillow's been like you can only sell it online now, like off of his website. I mean, even the MyPillow Twitter feed was banned by Twitter because Mike Lindell started posting his conspiracy theories from that site after he was banned from using his own personal Twitter feed. So
if you buy a MyPillow, you'll get a 40% discount coupon on Trumpy Bear.
Don't sleep on it.
I just love that whole run, you know, the chronology of his life. And I kept thinking the whole time, like, he should be mayor of Toronto. Like, they love guys who smoke crack up there. Like, I feel like those two get together and like write memoirs about how crack got them where they are today.
Davine is a Canadian. What do you think of that?
I'm impressed he's smart enough to count cards at the casino. That takes some skills.
It said he counted them. It didn't say he got the right answer.
True.
That's why he kept doing the drugs and losing the bar. Mike Lindell's Cyber Symposium attracted the cream of the crop, and by cream, I mean the cells that were created from the leftover splooge at an orgy. Among the other kooks was Virginia State Senator Amanda Chase, who gave this account of the reaction she received challenging the 2020 election results.
We've got a band together, and I've never been more encouraged to be here because, like I said, in Richmond, we're in session right now. They have, and I got censured in the Senate for saying this. The 2020 presidential election was stolen. And then I had the audacity to go to the January 6th Stop the Steal rally to stand with my president. I was cited for being an insurrectionist by 3 Republicans and the rest of the Democratic Party. They stripped me from every last one of my committees. They put me in the corner. They built a plexiglass wall around me on the floor of the Senate because I refused to wear a mask because I think that's socialism. Try to shame us.
Kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Well, I like how she tried to test out the line, cited for being an insurrectionist, the same way a comic at an open mic tests out the line, let's give it up for the troops.
But that was also the only line that they didn't cheer for.
Yeah, she was waiting. She thought it was an applause line.
She bombed.
She did, Davine.
They put me in a plexiglass cube away from everybody. And then the COVID pandemic started. That would have been the perfect line to use. That would have been a great laugh line there. Of course, it wouldn't be a right-wing conference without a musical allegiance to God and country. It is always taken as a sacred moment, even when the singing is off-key, such as this clip from the symposium.
Ocean, white with foam, God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Oh, shit.
Roseanne did a better job than that.
I know what you're thinking, Davine. I don't know why white people feel the need to harmonize, or at least try to harmonize without knowing what the definition of harmonizing is.
God, you think it was a Mike Lindell symposium, there'd be a pillow there to smother her.
Just thinking, like, how many birthday parties have that person ruined? Like, with that singing.
I think it's a very generous assessment that you think that these people get invited to birthday parties.
They're ruining their own children's birthday parties. We know that.
That's how they get you.
Cross burning birthday cake, same thing.
With the total shunning of the American media, any opportunity to take the election was stolen narrative abroad is an opportunity not to be wasted. However, it does backfire, as former Trump attorney Sidney Powell discovered when she was interviewed by Australian television.
Let's get a few simple facts straight. In how many states were Smartmatic machines and software used in the 2020 election?
I don't even know the exact numbers.
After all your involvement?
Well, the focus was on the 6 key swing states, the places where voting had stopped being counted the night of the election.
A Google search would tell you, let alone anything that Smartmatic themselves have said subsequently, that they were involved in one single county in LA. Are you saying you're not aware of that?
Well, I'm saying I think their involvement's probably a lot bigger than that.
But their machines were used in one county. You're aware of that?
Well, their machines might have been used one place, but their software could very well have been used other places.
You said that Smartmatic owns Dominion. How do you justify such a basic factual error?
I'm going to stop this interview. It's wholly inappropriate in the litigation that we're in.
But we're not even in the area of great dispute. These are the simple facts of who owns what.
No, we're done. I'm highly skeptical of how long this is going to last.
Okay. I appreciate you coming back.
Yeah, well, I'm volunteering my time here, and I didn't come here to be accused of anything.
I wonder if people like Sidney Powell, if they leave interviews like that because their body is so sick of the bullshit that the mouth is spewing that it decides it's just going to spontaneously combust and, defecate without any bodily control whatsoever. Like that's what gives them the impetus to suddenly leave the interview.
What did she think was going to happen?
This is a person whose defense was, why would anybody believe me? That's what she said.
She brought her therapy dog. That helped her.
Why would anyone take seriously what I say?
What I'm taking away from that is I'm going to start every conversation from now on with, I am volunteering my time to be here, and I am not here to be accused of things.
Right. And don't let the facts get in the way.
Well,
Abby, today is Wednesday. Hey, I am volunteering my time to be here. I am not here for facts.
That's actually the reaction of most of the non-comedian guests that we get on this show. I'm very skeptical as to how long this will take, and I'm volunteering my time.
I wish I had a dog too.
Yeah, that's another good takeaway. Like the visual of the dog, she was like, all right, we will begin. Put dog down, sit and share. All right.
She even matched her necklace with her puppy. It's like.
To sum up, the bottom line is no matter how hard we fight to maintain this country as a functioning democracy, our efforts will be in vain. It will get to the point where we may not even be able to vote freely in the 2022 midterms, let alone the 2024 presidential contest. It won't be because of the voter suppression tactics enacted by various Republican legislatures and governors. No, we will not be able to vote because we will all be dead because of a genetically modified version of the Omega variant of COVID-19. And on that note, that's our show.
Hey.
I want to thank Jeff Hysen, Abby Mello, Davine Ker, and Ken Water.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
This episode was written and hosted by Tom Myers with panelists Jeff Hysen, Abby Mello, and Davine Ker, and guest Ken Water. Theme music by Jeroen Vandenhurk. Executive producer Tom Myers. Executive producer for ipmNation, Matt Connarton. For more information, visit tommyers.us.